Hello, guys. How are you? This is Rudy Lozano, broker for PRG Platinum. Um, Thank you for joining us in person. For those of you guys that drove in the rain, as well as the people that are at home in the comfort of their own home. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about intermediary and how important it is, not only to our firm, but for any brokerage that has at least three agents. For intermediary to occur, there must be at least three agents at a brokerage, which is the broker and two other agents. Because remember, when you do intermediary, you have to give the buyer and seller an option to do it with and without appointments. So if a brokerage is a one-man show, you cannot offer intermediary. If you have two agents, you cannot offer intermediary, in my opinion. Because then if the buyer says, no, I want my own agent, and the seller says, no, I want my own agent, the broker must function as the person in the middle. Okay. Obviously, you have to treat everybody fair and honestly, but you are giving advice and opinion to your respective client. You couldn't do due diligence if you weren't otherwise. So you could do it with and without appointments, but it's best practices to not offer intermediary if you're a one-man show or if there's another agent in your office. There must at least be three people. Okay. So um, on Monday, we talk about listings, pricing your home correctly. It all starts with pricing the home correctly. And right now, there's sellers that they're thinking it's 2022. They want to overlist the property. They're not listening to you. So for those of you guys that attend our class on Monday, we share a video with you of how to price your home correctly. It's through one of our coaches or one of our mentors, which is David Knox. It's always a good idea that before you take on the listing, you send them this video because it explains in 15 minutes why they don't want to overlist, why they do want to list at market value and price the home correctly. Because then, you know, a lot of folks think that if you overlist it or overprice it, you can negotiate. But what you're doing is that you're alienating the people that are in a certain price point. Because trust me, guys, people that want to go buy a Mercedes or BMW don't want to buy a Buick or a GMC. Conversely, somebody that's in the 800 price point doesn't want to buy a house that's 490 that should be in the 495 range. Okay. And some people, and I'm being dramatic there so that you realize that just in a community alone, I mean, there's a lot of builders that do three different products in many communities. They have the garden home section, they have the mid-size section, and then they have the luxurious homes. The roof line's different, the ceiling, it might go from an 8-foot ceiling to a 9-foot ceiling to all of a sudden a 22-foot ceiling. So once again, there is differences. So when you're pricing a home correctly, you need an apples to apples comparison, of course, because the consumer already knows about it. They're already checking out properties on Zillow and Realtor.com, right? But in the end, pricing your home correctly is so crucial. So we talk about that on Mondays. On Tuesday, I cover a contract from beginning to end. 2 weeks ago, I did FHA. This week, I did conventional. Next week, we're doing VA. I'm going on a cruise in a couple of weeks, so there won't be any training. But when I come back, we'll do probably USDA. Okay. So um, on Wednesday, I cover the buyer's representation agreement and the applicable forms as it pertains to your compensation. And I give you different scenarios. Did you um, meet somebody at an open house, at a coffee shop, or is it somebody being referred to you? I give you different ideas of which form to use. Secure the business, guys. Secure the business. Don't focus too much on the compensation. Um, the last thing you want to do is take on somebody, show them three houses, and do a per showing per day, because then all of a sudden you're saying that your time's worth. You're going to move on and do a million other tasks that you showing them three houses um, doesn't even begin to describe the amount of work you're going to do. And then all of a sudden you just offer to do 3 showings for $150. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're better off saying, hey, I charge 3 or 4%. Um, but once again, we're going to determine if we want to work with one another. Okay. But I will show you 3 to 4 homes. Um, and hopefully you like something. If not, we'll have another sit down visit. I'll do a buyer's orientation, help you arrange financing and those kinds of things, and then transition from the short form to the long form. That way you can do up to 4% commission on existing market and up to 8% in the new construction, which includes, generous compensation offered in the new construction industry, to include bonuses. And then of course, Thursday I'm covering financing specifically to the contract. If I covered convention on Tuesday, I'll cover financing on Thursday. Okay, so next week it'll be contract on Tuesday and the financing piece on Thursday. Okay, and then today I'm covering intermediary, but I'm going to go back to Monday. Okay, guys, it is the philosophy, it is the company policy, my personal request and requirement to any agent who has an ability to offer intermediary to do so from a position of strength and collect full compensation or more. It is your fiduciary duty to collect when you're pricing, when you're doing your listing agreement, to tell your seller, there's 3 agents in our office or there's 200 of us. There is a probability that somebody from my office can bring you a qualified buyer. I'm not doing this for 3%. I'm not doing 2 jobs for 3%. Okay. I need to collect 6% because if I don't collect compensation for whoever's bringing the buyer, they're going to take their client across the street or directly to a builder going 80 miles an hour. I would be doing you a horrible injustice by telling you that we live in the 7th largest city in the country. I would be doing you a horrible injustice by telling you that I think that I'm going to bring you a qualified buyer. What I'm going to do is that you're paying me to market your home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to market your home like crazy, but I need my team of 2 or I need my team of 200, and I need certainly my team of 14,000 other real estate professionals. They're your business associates. They're not your enemies. I mean, once again, I know a lot of people at other brokerages, you know, where we might not be buddy buddies and we're not, we don't go out and have a drink or whatever. But you guys, if you've been in this business long enough, you have to um, respect one another, work together as a team, because just like raising a kids, guys, just like raising kids, it takes an army, right? Well, it takes an army to close a real estate transaction. So if you're thinking that you're going to do everything on your own, don't do it. Don't do it. Because what's going to end up happening is that any listing agent in the city of San Antonio that takes on a listing for 3%, there's been listings for many years that when they offer 2.5, they sit for 120 days or 6 months, because at half a point to somebody where their brokerage charges 20 and 30 and 40 and 50% commission, 5% translates into a lot. 5% on a $400,000 deal is $2,000. You just remove that from your compensation. Why would you do that when somebody else is paying 3, or new construction 4, 5, 6, and 7? Just yesterday alone, guys, I received 2 Facebook postings that DR Horton's paying 7%. Your sellers need to know that. Before you take on a listing, you're the market expert. You have the data that an appraiser uses to be able to price a home correctly. And I cover that on Monday as well. Apples to apples comparison. The compensation is already part of the price, guys. And if it's not part of the price, there will be adjustments in the future. Conversely, when you're taking on a buyer, you can also tell them, hey, if there might be listings because the broker or the relocation company or the bank decided that they weren't going to compensate a buyer's agent in this market. That's a mistake. I don't care. I don't know who the CEO is from these companies. that they've decided to take the attitude that realtors deserve zero compensation, that we need to figure it out with the buyer. But what's going to happen is that not only is their price going to be rejected by the marketplace, but if your property is rejected by realtors, there's a substitution, guys. Why would you show a 3 bedroom, 2 bath at 200,000 when you can show a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, brand spanking new, with full concession of maybe not at 200, maybe 220, maybe 240, brand new with a 10-year warranty, and then builders are paying all of your closing costs, your buy downs, and then furthermore, they're compensating the realtor because they understand, they get it, that realtors work with qualified buyers. 4, 5, 6, and 7% compensation being offered by the builder needs to be manifested uh, on your buyer's rep agreement. It must be manifested on your listing agreement. Because let's go back to intermediary. If you list a house today for PRG Platinum, you need to market the team. It's a team and the army. You're not only hiring me, but you're hiring the 200 other agents that work on in my brokerage that are going to help me market your property. They're going to boost it on social media. They're going to be door knocking, doing whatever they need to do to bring you a qualified buyer. Furthermore, my other 14,000 business associates that are members of Sabor also will help us. The compensation belongs to the listing broker. I am going to decide who I share it with. I'm going to share it with every agent in the city of San Antonio because, Mr. Seller, don't worry about the little money. You're needing to take that job offer. They're going to increase your pay $50,000. Your family lives in Seattle and Washington or New York. What are you messing around not wanting to pay a real estate agent that's working in 100-degree weather, always hustling, trying to get the next deal, working with the qualified buyers and taking on the next listing? And then all of a sudden you don't want to pay $6,000. Well, okay, so you want to save $6,000, but then what happens if you don't sell this house? Are you going to be able to manage two mortgages, or a rent over there and a mortgage over here? Do the math. Do the math. You pay what you get for. But the moment that you don't pay, there's no incentive like the financial. Nobody gets out of bed for zero compensation. So once again, our company philosophy, and it should be the philosophy of our industry, whether you have 3 agents or you have 200 or you have 1,000, it doesn't matter. By a listing agent not taking on full compensation, they're doing their seller a horrible injustice, because for half a point, properties are going to sit. Okay, so sell as part of your value proposition, your army. Okay, and then your allies. Your internal army is the 200 agents here, but if they're allies of ours, and they are, okay, if you're bringing me a deal, let's talk about that. If you're the listing agent, of course, we want somebody in this office to sell it and help you market it and da da da. But if it doesn't, guys, it's a team effort. Whether it's an agent in this office that is part of somebody's team, because we don't take on new agents. For somebody to come in here, you have to be part of somebody's team. You have to be coached and mentored and such. And then I do also coaching and training with you guys extensively Monday through Friday now, and I'm always available for a call to help you protect your license as well as to keep you out of problems. But no doubt about it, guys, we all started new. So don't beat up these agents. I mean, obviously, there's agents that don't return phone calls, don't return emails, don't show up anywhere. They don't even show up to closing, and they abandon their clients. They don't know what they're doing. They don't want to ask questions, and they're off in left field. And they had a different perception of what it was going to take to be successful in this industry. But no doubt about it, if you have an agent who is trying their best, whether it's this office or any other brokerage, help them. Because if they have the one thing you need, they might be new, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. But if they have a pre-approval from a major bank or a local mortgage broker or their credit union, and it's their brother, sister, cousin, and they submit a partially filled in contract, right? And we all, I get those calls. Don't beat them up. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you. Let's work together because they have the qualified buyer. Because then you're going to benefit, whether they work in this office or somewhere else. It's a team. It's a team effort, guys. It's a win-win. It's part of the army. Okay. So once again, help them with the contract. Help them how to fill it. Show them how to fill it out. Take the time to do it. Because then, trust me, guys, if they end up making it into the future, the probability that you're going to be involved in another transaction is very high. Okay. So don't be a bully, be a buddy. That's what I tell my children. Okay. So, um, so take the bull by the horn, help that person write up the offer, get it receipted into a title, and close your transaction. Come through for your seller. Sell the power of of our office. Sell the power of the San Antonio Board of Realtors. Sell the power of the Realtor brand. At the end of the day, we will survive this. Okay, but we're stronger together than we are apart. Okay, it really truly is a team effort. Okay, so intermediary, a broker needs three people, the broker, and if the buyer or the seller elect their own agent by appointment, you need three people at least. Okay, we have a lot of transactions in this office that we do them by appointment or without appointments. Okay, um on page on the contract, if it's intermediary, both agents must be listed on page 10 of 11 on the right side of the contract, and you must disclose that seller and buyer as intermediary. This is the package from earlier in the week, but it's not checked off, but you would check off seller and buyer as intermediary. One agent, in this case, we're using Cristina Segovia from the office, as well as Saida Martinez from this office. I am the broker for both agents. Both agents are in this office, and it's by appointment. So there's an intermediary notice on the contract, who represents who, and there is an intermediary notice, which is that front page that that the contract manifests itself into the required form intermediary relationship notice. So once again, Tina represents the owner, and then another agent represents the prospect. Okay, but just know this, guys: for intermediary to take place, you need three people. And then in your buyer's rep agreement, you always want to check off intermediary. And the reason being is that we don't have two listings, guys. We have 200 and we have over 200 listings. I want to say it's 233 today. Why wouldn't you want to give your buyer access to all our inventory? The moment a buyer checks off, no, I don't want intermediary. I want to make sure that you represent me. I know, but I am going to represent you. The difference is, do you want access to our inventory? Because you're calling me because you're calling me on one of my listings. So we need to do intermediary. That way you have access to all our inventory. E- Even the properties that are getting ready to hit the market, I might know about them because there's people already posting on our private Facebook page, letting me know that that they're coming soon. Okay, or coming here in the by the end of the week. Okay, so once again, I have access to inventory that's not even available on Zillow and Realtor.com. Okay, conversely, when you take on the listing, you have to always check off intermediary, because then that allows you to mobilize the other 200 agents in this office. So you intermediary, when there's a complaint file that track, guys, the first thing they'll ask is for obviously the contract, the closing disclosure, the seller's disclosure, and all of that stuff. Oh, you did intermediary. I need your exclusive right to list where the seller authorized intermediary. I need your buyer's rep agreement where the buyer authorized intermediary. I need the intermediary relationship notice and your information about brokerage services. Because remember, guys, when you guys meet people now, you have to disclose these two forms: information about brokerage services. I represent the buyer, I represent the seller, and there might be a chance that we might do both sides to the transaction, and I'll function as an intermediary. Okay. Furthermore, on your buyer's rep agreement, you must always select that they are allowing you and they're requesting intermediary because in the event that there is a complaint, they have to acknowledge that they agreed to intermediary. And then furthermore, that they were put on notice who represented who, right? Yes, ma'am? Absolutely. It's part of your package. Yes. Uh-huh. There is, yes. And it clearly outlines both agents are from this office. It clearly outlines that both agents are from the office. The listing agent represents the seller, and you're doing an open house for your team member or somebody from this office, right? Um, and you're bringing the buyer. Okay. You guys have to be fair and honest. You can give advice and opinion to your respective client. What you can't do is be talking about confidential information that the buyer told you, confidential information that the seller told. It's unnecessary. Keep it professional. Okay, like any transaction. Okay, the less said, the better. It's all about the terms and those kinds of things. Okay, so that was the main thing, guys, that I wanted to cover with you guys. Is that it all starts with the listing. Negotiate from a position of strength. Make the seller understand that they have to price their property correctly. That compensation is already included in the price, and an appraiser will need to do an apples to apples adjustment and comparison. So if they don't pay compensation, they don't pay closing costs, it's going to be considered like you have 50 square feet less or 100 square foot less, or you don't have that third car garage and they do over there, right? Apples to apples comparison. So there will have to be an adjustment downward because then your seven other neighbors that sold their homes in the last 4 months all paid compensation. They all paid closing costs. You don't want to pay closing costs and you don't want to pay compensation. The appraiser will need to do an adjustment. Okay. So at the end of the day, just know this is do not get terminated for not taking on a listing at full compensation to the buyer's agent. And I get it. Many of you guys have referral business. Many of them are going to sell before they buy. You can give them a discount if you want because they're at a repeat investor or their family or repeat clients or whatever. But if you're going to do it for 5.5, well, still pay the buyer's agent 3%. Maybe you need to collect the 2.5, right? Okay. Or better yet, collect your full compensation and offer to give them a rebate once they close on their new home. Don't make the mistake of giving the discount on this house and then they don't use you. All of a sudden they walk into a builder or all of a sudden they decided to use another agent. I'm like, no, I'm collecting 6% compensation. I'll give you a credit, but I need to earn my compensation on the new home is how I would do it. Okay. Okay. So once again, these trainings that I'm doing Monday through Friday are conversations that I'm having already with agents on any given day. If you guys know another agent somewhere else and they're lost, they've lost hope. Like today, even my posting from today, I'm hearing a lot of like, what am I going to do? You know, people, really are nervous about the new changes in the future, you know? Mhm. No, 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 no. What I was saying is that if you're the listing agent and you're going to do it for less than 6% commission, you need to collect full compensation and say, hey, I'm going to give you a rebate, but I'm going to give you a rebate on the sale of this home that's 200,000 because then you're going to go buy a $500,000 home. So I'm going to give you half a point, which is $1,000 on a $200,000 home, but I'm going to give it to you on the consummation of the new home. Yeah, because if you do the discount here, there's no obligation for them to use you on 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 the purchase. Correct. Correct. Yes. 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 Because once again, trust me, people will stick it out with you for $500 or $1,000. Mhm. No, just get one rebate. Okay, so let's sell your house first, and I would do it on the lower price one rather than do half a point on the more expensive one. Yes, 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 yes. So very good question. Very good question. So once again, guys, what I want you guys to take away from this is there is a lot of folks that will leave our industry, but they didn't need to come into the i- industry to begin with. They really needed to go work because it's a journey to get to this point, and everybody's here, has done it. We all start at cutting yards when you're young. You end up working at McDonald's and working at a convenience store. It manifests itself to working at J.C. Penney or at a bank as a teller. And then all of a sudden you take on your first professional job where you get to wear high heels and a tie, right? And and life gets better, right? But in the meantime, you learn how to do customer service. And if you work for a bank, maybe collections, right? Problem solving, those kinds of things, hiring and firing people, whatever. Life's a journey. You just can't wake up at 18 or 21 with no business skills and then think that you're going to be a successful realtor. It doesn't happen that way. And I know that there's a lot of stuff on social media where people talk, well, you don't need a degree and da 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 da. I mean, because right now, guys, we have a lot of people that everybody thinks they're a coach. Everybody they're a team lead or they're right now, which is disheartening, is that there's a lot of people that are the owners of the real estate company, but they can't pass the broker's exam. So we have false prophets and false leaders. And when somebody's relying on you to help them to stay in compliance and guide them in the right way, guys, there's brokers in this industry that can't even explain the concept of intermediary. They don't price properties correctly. You having a title means absolutely nothing if you're not in quest for the knowledge and you don't have the experience. Guys, I'm still in the trenches with you guys. I close 30 to 80 loans on any given year on the mortgage side, and I'm involved on the real estate side. I talk to at least 10 or 12 agents a day. I look at contracts all the time. I help people price homes as well. I give them ideas because when you guys call me and the property's not moving, I always give you solutions, and there's usually three. This market's deteriorating by the day. You could have an appraisal report for 315, and you already could have this property listed at 285. An appraiser already told you it's worth 350, but a able willing buyer doesn't want to pay 315. They don't even want to pay 285. What's market value? It's whatever a buyer's willing to pay and a seller's willing to offer it, or the seller's offering and a buyer's willing to pay. That's market value. We have a listing in this office where there's an appraisal report at 315. The agent has already taken it down to 285, and she's reduced the price extensively, offering all sorts of concessions, and she's now offering bonuses. But if a buyer doesn't want to pay that price, right? So you need to know how to price your house correctly so that way it all turns out, and then collect the compensation you need. Because if you don't collect the compensation for the buyer's agent, that might be that key ingredient that doesn't get your house sold. They're going to show any other listing rather than yours. And that's going to be a conversation, guys, that you guys are needing to have because there's like Open Door. I don't think Open Door will mind if I tell them their company policy. Open Doors policy nationwide, zero compensation for the buyer's agent and 2.65 credit towards closing costs for the buyer. I don't know who their CEO is, but I wish that I could speak with them to let them know that they're doing their stockholders and our community a horrible injustice. Same thing like when a certain builder only wants to pay 1%. Well, they're not paying 1% right now. They will never be the number one builder in the country. They will always play second fiddle to the number one builder in the country, which is D.R. Horton, that understands and comprehends that you need realtors who work with qualified buyers for them to be able to sell their product. There's no other industry or no other person uh, that is engaged with qualified buyers and sellers like the realtor community. Okay. So once again, know your worth, negotiate from a position of strength. Okay. And if you guys have friends or other people at other firms. Send them the Zoom link. I'm okay. Refer them to our YouTube channel. Help them. Okay, because if you help them survive and they see that you have a listing, they're going to be your biggest fan. It really is a of a team effort, and it really does need to be win-win. And who wins? Who really ultimately wins? Guys, I tell my kids that daddy's going to step away for 5 minutes because there's somebody calling me. That's somebody that needs my help, because I need to keep them in compliance, or I need them to help save their deal. Okay, I get it. I understand that what we do is important, to the point that if the seller gets to sell their home, that they've already made memories. I got to tell a seller, you're not making as much money as you would like, but guess what? You lived here for 10 years. Your children were born here. You're at least leaving with memories. You're leaving with that. Not everything is dollars and cents. Conversely, so take your money and continue your journey, and go take that job and on the other side of the country, or whatever, or state, or whatever. Do your thing. Conversely, you're helping out a first-time homebuyer family that they only have one. Hopefully, in 10 years, they'll have three like you do. They're starting their journey. Okay, make it a win-win for them, because they might have been in a small apartment living with mom and dad, because there's a lot of people doing that right now, and they were brave enough to get in this market and go get a loan, and they want to buy your house. We want to take care of the realtor, because the realtor could have taken their client to um, a new home build, or somebody else, but instead they submitted an offer. Let's negotiate this. Let's do it with compassion, because who's behind this realtor? Thank you, the realtor. We're going to pay you, but and thank you so much. But then we're going to negotiate this deal. We're going to close this family, because you know uh, I tell my girls, Daddy helps families sometimes close on a home, so that way their daughters can have their pretty pink princess room. That's what Daddy gets to do. So what we do is important, guys. We change and impact the lives of others through real estate. We do God's work through real estate. Okay. And what we do is important. So know your value proposition. Okay. So once again, thank you for joining us. This is a condensed version of it. We have another guest speaker from Frontier Title. But like I said, we have training Monday through Friday for you guys, because we will survive. We will thrive. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Love you guys.